Welcome back once more, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adventures in Historyland YouTube channel. Once more, you find yourself in this strange and whimsical corner of the internet, where I get to talk to you about history, and I get to talk to my friends about history, which is what I like to do. Today, I am absolutely, I don't know what the word is, I'm so happy about it, to welcome a longtime friend from the world of the internet, Andrea Zuvich, who better known to some of you as the 17th century lady, one of the legends of history Twitter, one might say. She is an author, she is a scholar, she is so many things. And not only that, but obviously the founder of a very successful hashtag, which is something I have yet to aspire to. Andrea, so happy to talk to you today.
Thanks, Josh. It's so nice to be here. And it's true, we've known each other for a long time, but we've never really had a chat.
It's insane. It's really insane. I think I'm trying to think back when we first followed each other on Twitter, which is where we got to know each other. And I'm pretty sure it would have been very close to when I actually started Historyland's Twitter account, which is in 2012.
That's what I thought.
Back when Historyland was, well, Historyland. It's not changed very much.
Well, you've got an amazing offering for people, and you can see these wonderful videos, and you have wonderful conversations with so many leading historians and enthusiasts, and it's wonderful.
That's the idea. I want people to come on the show and just have a good time, and through that allow other people to have a good time and a bit of diversion. And today we're not talking about anything specific. We're just going to have fun talking about the things we like. Yep. I think it actually should be a series. I called the video with Jackie the historically hysterical mad tea party, and maybe that should be the theme for these videos.
Maybe, but alas, I do not have any tea. I just have water in a 17th century style glass.
Oh, excellent! So. That is the water vessel game has just been raised for every other guest who has to come on now. I need to get one. I mean, honestly, when I save up, I'm probably going to get like a rapier or something.
But... Oh, I want a rapier so much. My husband has a sort of broadsword, and he has it. It's a medieval type one, and I said to him, I really want to have a 17th century rapier. I was really into fencing at one point, and but I wasn't aggressive. I'm not an aggressive person. So when I was sparring with other people, I would always get beaten very quickly because I'm like, don't fight me. I know most people who do fencing aren't innately aggressive, but I just think me personally, I wasn't up to the job. That's all. Whereas I'm much better at archery. I was good at that, but so if we're maybe I'm perhaps in the wrong time period.
Well, there is that famous engraving from I guess the early 1600s of the double-armed man or something like that, where it's a pikeman, but he has the bow as well.
I don't recall that. Wow, I'd like to see that.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure I can find the picture and I'll put it in the video when it's edited. But yeah, there was, at the beginning of the 1600s, they were delving into all these ways of being the best soldier or doing things, what's the most efficient way of doing everything. And there was some crazy idea of arming pikemen with longbows.
Oh, this reminds me of something that I was reading Carrie Elwes's autobiography of the making of The Princess Bride, and he had to do a great deal of training to learn fencing, and they pretty much had to learn 16th and 17th century manuals, and they mention that in the actual film as well, Capo Ferro and all the other ones. And I thought that was brilliant because I had no idea. And it's no wonder it was so cinematically wonderful.
Very, my fencing teacher loved it because she used to say that she was taught. The guy who taught her was taught by the guy who did the fencing choreography for The Princess Bride or something like that.
Apparently, they were very, very strict taskmasters.
She regarded it very highly. I have a question on rapiers. Do you like the swept tilts or do you like the cut pilts?
I think I like the former more. Yeah, you know my tastes. I like very Baroque things, and I'm happy that I've got my mannequin here with my costume outfit, and so I'm hoping to be one of those eccentric people who's going to wear all that stuff normally, day in, day out. So
I would also aspire to be one of those sorts of people, to be honest. Anything that's I would wear doublets and things like that for it.
They look it's a shame more people don't wear them. And someone mentioned that on Twitter the other day. They said that they wish that periwigs could come back into fashion. And yes, I'm totally for that. I've never seen a man who doesn't look better in a periwig. Personally. Yeah, I'm in the eccentric zone now, so yeah.
I don't know. I get the point. It's a very distinguished look. It's a very, I would agree generally speaking because my hair is already as long as some periwigs. I just tie it back for neatness' sake.
That's very nice.
I was actually going to bring up what are your favorite movies and things of this.
Oh, there are so many good ones. I think yes. So my favorite film is the very sad film from 1991 called Tous les matins du monde, and it is about Marin Marais, who was a French Baroque composer at the court of Louis XIV, and the music, which was, I believe, performed by Jordi Sauval, and it was just so beautiful and so moving, and I was quite young when that came out, so I wasn't allowed to watch it. But when I finally was able to watch it, it's one of the most moving films I've seen. So that's it.
Excellent.
Yeah. And what about you? Besides the Three Musketeers, and
and the
Iron from the 70s.
It's a very, very good question. I quite enjoyed The New World.
Oh yes, I quite enjoyed that as well. That was beautifully made.
Yeah, very much so. The visuals were very, very impressive, and the music as well.
That's the one that had the good use of Mozart's oboe concerto. Was it number 23? I think that's the one that gets played throughout.
I think so. There is this.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. There is this piece of music that strings everything together, and I believe it's that.
Yeah.
So that was I thought that was quite good. But like I say, my absolute favorite is the 70s Three Musketeers for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe it's because I saw it when I was little. But
no, I think that's just it's just the best one. I think maybe.
Have you seen El Triste?
Oh yes, with Viggo Mortensen.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
that's very impressive.
I love that. Yep. And
the books are great as well.
I have not read the books yet, but it's on my list.
You might want to. You're one of the lucky people who can read Spanish, aren't you?
Yes, that's been a language since birth. My parents are from Chile, and
Mhm.
so
Excellent.
Castilian
Well,
has always been there.
you might you might benefit from starting to read them in Spanish because the translations into English end at a particular point, and
Right.
the ones that going forward haven't been translated, which is annoying for me, being a sad monolinguist.
Right. Well, I'll take you up on that, and I'll read it from in its original form.
Yeah, just a warning there, just in case.
Yeah, well, that lots of things get lost in translation, and I found that when I was reading bits of Don Quixote the other day to my daughter, I was reading it in English, and I thought it's just not right because I read it originally in Spanish when I picked up this really nice copy in Pucón in the south of Chile when I was there in 2004, and it's a big edition, and it's just so brilliant. It's just vibrant with its with the quality of the literature,
Mhm.
and
Someone slammed the door. I'm sorry.
and it's just really nice to read things in the original language.
Mhm. It is one of my goals to be able to either be able to read some language going forward. It's just I can never choose between Spanish and French.
Yeah, but you've been doing really well. You've chatted with me in Spanish, and you can do it. You can. I know you
I
can do
can,
it. You can be totally fluent if you want to.
I'm encouraged by this sentiment. I'm encouraged by this sentiment. I can only imagine what these books are like in the language they were actually written in, because actually most translations you get kind of over with it. This is what blows my mind about classical literature, right? And especially things like Don Quixote, which is actually 17th century.
Yeah.
I mean, how good a writer must you be to have your work exist for this long, have it translated, and still persuade people today that uh, this is just a brilliant work of literature is quite mind blowing.
Yeah. There were some truly amazing writers in the past, and it's so it's so lovely to be able to read their work in the original language or no. I mean, I've read lots of Russian literature in recent months, and I don't understand any Russian at all. But I still really enjoy reading this stuff. I mean, it can be quite depressing, but yeah, it's still wonderful. The literature is wonderful. So there's that. Um, and I let me see if I can find it. I thought I had something here and it's gone. Oh, here it is. Oh yes, yesterday I wanted to share this with you. Yesterday I received something I bought at auction, and it's a paper document from 1677. So it's yeah, it's just lovely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I just love this stuff, and it's got this wonderful mark that you could see with the light, and it's just lovely. Um,
That's,
but
that's amazing.
don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, I did wash my hands thoroughly before I document, and you don't need to have white gloves. So before anyone comments about that.
Everybody who's been to the National Archives, Q nods sagely.
Yeah, but there's always somebody who writes like rant at me whenever I do that, and I'm like,
It's not necessary. Just I must admit that I never badgered people about it when I was ignorant. But before I went to Q and researched I mean, you have to read the guidelines of how to interact with the documents and things like that. I didn't know you didn't have to wear gloves, because on TV series and stuff, when the expert in antiques and things appears on screen, he always puts on these white gloves and to look at things.
Yeah.
And the first thing people said to me when I got back, when I told them, oh, I've been researching, stuff at the National Archives. Oh, did you have to wear the white gloves? Is what they asked me.
Yes.
Like I say, like we said before, we started following each other very early on,
Very early on. Yeah.
and it's been great to read all your things and read your books indeed.
Thank you very much. Yes, I think you've read at least two, maybe.
I think it's two. I think
Yeah.
I've read the Stuart's. Is it the 100 Facts, or is it Stuart's and 100 Facts? And your latest one, Sex and Sexuality in Stuart Britain, which I will review. Yeah, I do have a review planned to put up on the website. It's just I've been doing YouTube this last year, and that has hit the blog hard.
I'm sure. Yes. But as and when, it would be nice to know your thoughts about that. It is very different from my other works. But there we are. And right now I'm working on there are two biographies that I have to do. And right now I'm working on Barbara Villiers. But as I said earlier, but it's almost impossible right now because the archives are all closed. And I feel this really big weight on my shoulders because I have to have this turned in this summer. How on earth am I going to have that done? I don't know, but I need a lot more time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not great right now. So there's this.
Well, I mean, I have anxiety about the fact that I'm supposed to be researching a book, which is on the subject of the siege of Pensacola in 1781. Wow. And now that I'm overreacting completely on the subject of archives here, because I have until 2020, the 1st of January 2023 to do this in. But I'm still getting mounting anxiety from the fact that I've not seen one of the very long list of documents I have written down.
I hear you. Wow. But I'm very glad to hear that you have some time before yours is due.
I have anxiety just hearing you say that you have to do this.
Yeah. I'm trying not to have some panic issues about this now. Hopefully it will get sorted out and everything.
I'm sure.
Okay.
Let's talk about something soothing. You were talking about music before. What are your favorite pieces of music?
Oh, well, it depends on my mood at the time. If I feel, I don't know, sort of stately and quite happy, perhaps a bit of Charpentier. But if in a bit more melancholic mood, perhaps a bit of Dowland and a bit of the aforementioned Marin Murray. I do listen to a lot of early modern music in general. I've been really getting into Spanish stuff as well. I don't know. I think in my increasing age, I'm starting to want to listen to and make more Spanish food and listen to music and all the cultural things because my ancestors are largely from there and from Chile and from Croatia. So it's just nice. I feel like that now that I'm getting older. So I like a great deal of music. I mean, when I've had to do a great deal of exercise for personal reasons and more, and so I've been listening to a great deal of trance music, which is different. A lot of reggaeton and salsa music and all of that. So it's I'm getting a whole barrage of new experiences, which is always interesting. but nevertheless, it's enjoyable.
Uh,
Music, opera. I am very, very much a fan of opera,
mhm,
especially Italian opera.
mhm.
There we go. Yeah.
That's so impressive to hear because first of all, I agree that it's actually in terms of music, I find it incredibly difficult when somebody asks, "So, what's your favorite music or song or something like that?" And it usually depends how I feel. Um, I am going to take note of the names you just mentioned because I am you have a greater knowledge of music than I do for certain, and I always enjoy um, listening to new things and things like that. And I haven't listened to a great many classical composers and things like that,
Mhm.
even though I do very much enjoy it. I would say that my favorite composer at the moment is Luigi Boccherini.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yes.
uh, his music is just so, it just makes me feel good.
And that's the best kind of music if it makes you feel good. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think I feel
Uh,
like that with Vivaldi. I forgot to mention, but I do this thing with my daughter, and we listen to Vivaldi, and yes, it's something that's everyone knows the music to the Four Seasons, but when there's that violin bit,
mhm.
and we do air guitar, no, the equivalent of air guitar, we do air violin. I find that so much fun. And when you're stressed out or something and you get that Vivaldi on full
Mhm.
on and then you're just going around the room with that, it's brilliant. I really recommend that.
You've heard it, ladies and gentlemen. This is a stressful time for everybody, so get the Vivaldi on.
Yes, well, what we've done is you can see lots of full-length operas on YouTube,
Mm.
and we do this thing every Saturday. Um, Saturdays are busy. You can see Stuart Saturday.
Yes.
We also do like highbrow Saturdays. So we watch an opera or a ballet in its entirety, and it's just it's wonderful, and I really
Mhm.
recommend that too because you can see all of these brilliantly done productions, and you don't have to go anywhere to see them and to enjoy them. And
Mhm.
some of the best dancers ever filmed are in these. Um, so if you get a chance, I think you could do that. And
Wholeheartedly agree. It's when one gets the time, one has watched full-length ballets on TV or just on whatever device is handy. I mean, why not? I mean, why not, really? If you
it,
enjoy it, and
yeah,
if you've never seen it, absolutely. Uh,
yeah. I think lots of people have this unfounded aversion to things like this just because they think that it's I don't know, hoity-toity or something like that. When there's some, they might be missing out on something that they could really love
mm,
and that will bring them some joy in life.
mm,
So I think, give something a shot, and it's free, and you never know, you might find it so exciting that you might go and see a ballet or
mm.
an opera in person.
It's
Or,
some of the.
yeah.
I think it's some of the purest forms of storytelling you can find.
Hmm.
Actually, if you hear people talk very in depth about what is this, what makes up a story, and what ingredients in terms of novels and things like that, the story arcs and things like that. Watch a ballet or watch an opera, and you will see it. You can literally see it in three
Yeah.
acts. There it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I really just no, it's very difficult to put into words. It's just again, it makes me very happy to watch the ballet. It strikes me we've talked quite a lot about the 17th century, but obviously both of us are very interested in the early 17th, 18th as well,
Hmm.
um, and that also brings up. I mean, some of your books are set in like the late 17th century going into the early 18th, isn't it?
Um, Well, I professionally I do 1603 to 1714,
Mhm.
so there's a bit of that. Um, but my non non-fiction is generally all of the period uh, from that time. But my fiction was mainly 1680s, so that was His Last Mistress, which I've pulled from the shelves because I want to redo it again because I had the rights reverted back to me, and so uh, I don't want it to be on sale right now until I can do it over again.
Mhm.
And I think I'll self-publish it this time because it was I enjoyed having it published by a publisher, but it you only have so much power with something when it's done through a publisher,
Mhm.
and you have to have a certain word count, and you have to have a certain it's done the publisher's way generally.
Yeah.
And I found that with self-publishing, you can have the cover that you want, you can stylize it the way you want, and you can have it whatever length you want. And it's just there's just so much more freedom in
Mhm.
and so I want to get back to that.
I
Um,
totally get that.
yeah, but the other one was The Stuart Vampire, which
Mhm.
was me writing a supernatural sort of historical horror. And um, so I took the life of Henry Stuart, Duke of Gloucester, who died in 1660 from smallpox. And I thought, well, he died so young, and I thought it would be nice to have him as the flawed hero. And I've had such really good feedback from readers about that, and I was amazed. But there, it, every so often I get people sending me messages asking if I would write a sequel, and so yeah, they must like the story enough to want to see what happens in the 18th century. So and
Mhm. Mhm.
because yeah, that one is 19th century and 17th century. So we'll see. Right
Mhm.
now, I don't have any extra free time, so it's just biographies, and I'm working on a children's book, which because I've got my little girl and she likes paper dolls and she likes little stories, and so I've been working on something like that. But I'm trying to find out how best to get it done.
Mhm.
So we'll see about that. And there's another short story I've been working on. I was trying to get it published for Valentine's Day, but there's no time with the move that we did and everything.
Mhm.
Because we moved out of London and we're in the countryside now, which is great for me because I am not a city person at all. Um, so I'm a country.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the city a lot, but I do prefer to live, I think, in the countryside. I need the space.
It for me, I need it for just to feel more relaxed, and there's just more space, which is nice.
Yeah. Um, well, that sounds all very exciting. I believe his last mistress is the one about mistress of the Duke of Monmouth.
That's right. Yes.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I remember seeing that being published, and I don't believe I have read it though. But I've heard a lot of people talk about it very highly.
Oh,
Um, if you need anybody to do the cover art, I would happily do it for you.
thank you.
I really enjoy art, and obviously, like people, I mean, in the subject of the 17th century, people like Caravaggio and Velasquez, and people like that are my favorites. But well, I mean, then you go into the Dutch ones, and like there's actually an awful lot of 17th century artists that are I think are absolutely amazing. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think I wanted to be an artist and a novelist,
Hmm.
and ended up doing straight history because that was what I was practicing writing with, basically.
Right.
And I just don't understand how you make money out of art at this moment.
I don't know. All of the artists I know do their art on the side and have another job. So I don't know how people can. And many writers can't make enough as well.
Mm.
So it's difficult. I mean, to be in the arts at all, um, it's not really lucrative unless you are a household name, and even then, I don't know how much they actually get, and how much their agent and the other. Lots of people cream off the
Yeah,
work was made. So
yeah, it's a difficult thing, but I'm getting back into art
that's
things
great.
myself. Yeah, my friend Jimmy Chen has been using my designs on his e-commerce website to do with the Napoleonic Wars.
Yes, you do some
And
really nice stuff. I've seen that, and I think you have a great talent there.
thanks, shucks. I guess
Yeah, you sure do. Yeah, you do.
um, all embarrassed now. Moving on.
Sorry.
Uh, uh, so like I said, some of my favorites. I think probably my favorite is actually Velasquez, uh, of 17th century artists. Um, I've seen the Water Cellar of Seville in Apsley House, and you could touch that thing. It's like you can touch it without touching it. Your mind can essentially touch it because it is just so.
Well, um, I hear it. I hear you with Velasquez, but because one of my favorite paintings is up there.
Ah.
Yes.
That was my choice for Stuart Saturday before
Yes,
Valentine's Day.
I thought it was great. It's one of my favorites. So very good contribution. Um, yes, he. I just think that it's just so beautiful, and so um, elegant at the same time. And yet that was hacked to pieces by, well, hacked quite a lot by a suffragette in the early 20th century.
Mm.
And it's a shame. It just actually that makes me really mad, because it's
Yeah.
one of my favorite paintings. Um, and even today, when you look at a certain angle in at the National Gallery, and you look in a certain angle, you could see the bits of damage. They did a wonderful job in trying to fix it, and it looks like it's fine, but just certain angles, and you can see where the slash marks were. Mm.
I can tell it. I can tell that makes you very angry. Well, that makes me angry too, to be honest,
Yeah, I
as
just
well.
destruction of things. That bothers me.
Yeah. Hmm.
Right. Like
But yeah,
creation. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's and another favorite, obviously. I mean, Anthony Van Dyck is
Oh,
very impressive.
yeah.
Um, and Vermeer and
Great. Um, Lots of these Dutch ones are great, and funnily enough, I've started to like Rembrandt a little less, which is weird. I really liked him before, but for some reason I'm starting to like Vermeer more and Rembrandt less. And um, but I like Poussin, and some of the French ones quite a lot. Um, and But there are just so many to choose from. It's hard to
mhm,
even say which ones are great. But Baroque in general, the art is superb.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I'm not actually as familiar with as many Baroque French artists as I am the Italian ones and well, I mean there no there is more than one Spanish one. There's Murillo as well, isn't there? Um, he's I don't like him as much. I mean also and is it yeah El Greco as well? Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
El Greco is surprisingly sort of modernist,
Uh-huh.
for that time, and it's amazing to think that he was a sort of 17th century, early 17th century as well. Yeah.
That is one of the things I like about Spanish art is that from El Greco to Picasso, and I'm not terribly a big fan of Picasso, you can see that it's Spanish art. You can see Velázquez and El Greco and Murillo in the 20th century.
Yeah. And so do you like to dress in the clothes of varying time periods? I mean, do you have any clothing that you like to wear?
That's a very good question. I don't think okay, right. Let's see. So I believe easy answer is yes, but I don't own anything. I have often wanted to try and do reenactment. It's just rather trying to, again, decide what period I would like to do and then deciding how to fund getting the impression together, sort of thing. But I do dress as much as possible in 21st century clothes, as much as possible to try and approximate something in the way I go about things.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of anything that has length and volume, and waistcoats and
Very nice. Yes.
Things like that, neck cloths and things like that. I like buying quite thin scarves and then tying them around as if it's like a 17th century or early 18th century neck cloth.
Nice.
And things like that. And I do own, the closest thing I own to actual approximations of actual period attire is, I don't know if you're familiar with what a Jacobite shirt is.
Maybe not.
Okay, right. Well, it's something that came about in it was like a fashion trend some years back for Highland dress. And instead of the traditional three-piece suit with some sort of tie and a kilt, etc., you wear a wide-sleeved, quite open-necked shirt. So poofy sleeves, and with the drawstring tie that sort of zigzags to tie up the front of the shirt. Now I have one of them. I've never really had a chance to wear it with it for anything. I just bought it because I thought that was a really good idea. Generally speaking, yes, but I don't actually own specifically.
Right.
You?
Oh yeah, I have quite a lot of clothing.
The hats. Oh, I would love a big hat, like a really big chapeau.
Yeah, well, I think that would suit you really well. Yeah. I'm trying to actually get someone to make me one of those 17th century commode headdresses, like Elefanton.
Yeah.
But my friend who makes hats, she's totally swamped, so she won't be able to do it, I think, for some time. But that's something I'd like to have done at some point. I wish I could sew better. I would like to be able to make these things myself, and then I can make whole outfits for my husband too. But I've already promised my daughter I'm going to be making her the Princess Bride dresses, because talking about Princess Bride, sorry, but that's my life is about princesses and fairy tales and all that. So
nothing wrong with that.
The
Princess Bride, is a classical movie and just a great deal of fun.
Yeah.
It's at the top of what should be a swashbuckler you know, in terms of what a swashbuckler should be, that is at the peak of it. I was wondering, do you likes and dislikes in terms of historical what's the word? Yeah.
Well, for one thing, I don't like present tense when you're talking about someone in the past. I don't like saying Mary II is sad. She is very emotional about this at this time. No, she's dead. She happened in the past. Yes, that's really above her mind. And you know, and judging, of course, the judging of people by our present standards, that irks me a bit too. But it's all in the past, and yeah, that's me. I don't know. I don't know if you're even allowed to say that anymore, but
well, it depends who you talk to. You can say it to me. We have often as well talked about different interpretations that we've seen around that are just a face.
I mean, everything gets interpreted through personal opinions sometimes, and I suppose that's twas ever thus, I guess.
That's true.
Yeah, but I don't like sort of arrogance of certain writers against other writers, and I don't like the help some people look down on crime writers or romance writers, and I think that's horrible, really. I don't like that. I think everyone has something that they can give that brings joy or enjoyment to people, and we shouldn't look down on people for that. And that's something. I mean, sometimes I've been on the receiving end of certain types of writers of history who were not as kindly disposed to me because I am not a professor or something like that. But I think that's a shame. You know, there's this differentiation between popular history and academic history, and sometimes a lot of people are fine. We get on really well. It doesn't matter what area you're in or anything. But I think that can happen where people don't like popular history. But the way I see it and the way I look at my work is that I would like to display some things, little sort of canapes, really, of history. Okay. All right.
Excellently put.
All right. Not not deep analysis that's really heavy and difficult. I want things that are easily accessible for a wide readership, and if they enjoy that, then they can go and they can be sort of funneled towards these other authors who can provide much more specific, in-depth, hardcore analysis of things. And so I see that there's a sort of ecosystem for all of us, and none of us is better than the other, and but we're all working towards the same goal, which is to bring about information of different times to more people. That's what I think, and that's just how I see things.
I absolutely agree. To be honest with you, I feel the same way. I consider myself a gateway, basically.
Yeah, I see that for myself as well.
So long as people don't stop, the biggest problem with historical accuracy is in visual and written media. I feel it's just when people stop reading or stop investigating something that they have taken inspiration from. And that is the only that is the only problem that I now see really with something. You know, is that there is a danger if you get it too wrong, or like been flagrant about it, then some
Yeah.
people will just stay with that.
Yes, I agree, and that there is a danger of that, and I have seen that with some readers of historical fiction, and then they go to a lecture by a historian of the same subject, and then they have a go about that, and it's like that this is the history, the facts that we know of, and this is what someone's made up, and there's just that is to be considered, and it's a shame that some people completely believe a fiction, and even though it says historical fiction, they still think that everything in it is true, and that's a pity, really.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I feel like, nevertheless, it can. It's. I mean, so long as the people who are creating the content, we'll call it, take a certain amount of responsibility on that score,
Mm-hmm.
things go along. Things have been getting somewhat better, I think, on that score, in terms of obviously historical fiction generally, perhaps. But it's like I say. I mean, you can take away what you want from it. You know, sometimes one doesn't want to care and just wants to get lost in a story. It's
Yeah, I mean, I started I started watching Versailles,
uh-huh.
and I stopped and started it about 6 times because it just wasn't working for me. And finally, I got through the first season, and I thought, well, I actually quite enjoyed that. So I started watching the second season, and I just haven't had time to watch since. But that's the thing. There was a lot of stop and start for that, because I couldn't fully turn off the my history brain for that.
Mhm.
But now I have, and I can just relax and just watch it for fun, and not get so worried about that
Yeah,
stuff, and take it as for what it is.
it's really true. You
Yeah.
you you do have to shut off. You actually almost consciously have to, before watching a like a history movie or something like that, you do actually have to say, it's like switch off a button
Yeah.
in your head.
Yes, and just enjoy it, and that makes it
Mhm.
so much better for everyone to just enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah. And like so, in an unguarded moment, if I see something on TV, I will be an absolute nightmare to people. But
Yeah. I was like that with the Tudors a few times when I was watching that, and I said no, 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 don't. And the two different sisters were turned into one character, and I'm like, no. But anyway, I got through that, and I thought it was a very entertaining program. Yeah. So
a lot of people will be drawn into the fields of history from these things, and that's the positive, no matter what.
yeah.
Uh, well, hopefully they will buy our books. You're writing a biography of Barbara Phillips,
Mhm. Yep.
and obviously you were just talking about her getting that done and everything like that. But
Mm.
how is that going? How is she? How's Barbara? What's up?
Honestly, I'm on 6,000 words written, and which is not much considering I have to write 80,000. Try not to think of that. Um, but it involves a great deal of writing, of reading mainly. I've been reading Philip, uh, Earl of Chesterfield's letters, and he was her first love, and it was it's so amazing to read the letters, and uh, of written by anyone, because you can glean so much from that. You get a real feel for a person through their writing, especially personal letters. And he had a few romantic letters to a few ladies, not just Barbara. Um, and it revealed a lot about his character and about their relationship in general. And but I also have to go see. I would like to visit the archives at Dorneycourt, which is where Barbara lived because she married Roger Palmer, whose family owned and still own that estate. So mainly, I've just been reading secondary sources, and I'm not very happy doing that. I always like to do primary first and get everything, all my facts from the primary documents first, and then I like to read the analysis by present day historians, and then see if I've missed something, and or if I have to rethink something from someone's life. So that's pretty much where we're at right now. There's a great deal left of research to do, but it can be done, and by gum it will be done.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have the greatest faith that it will be done. I agree about the sources as well. I do prefer to read the original ones first, and then read some analysis.
Yeah,
Luckily, there's a lot digitalized nowadays, so
this is true.
you can get by,
Yeah.
but
My main concern right now is I'm going through Evelyn and Peeps because Peeps had a massive crush on Barbara, and who can blame him, right?
yeah.
He didn't, except the people who didn't like her. And I'm looking at that, but there are so many of these texts that have just the dot 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 where he goes into more detail. Usually saucy, very very sort of sordid detail,
Yeah.
and and I'm trying to find that, and hopefully I can find a source that doesn't cut bits out. So I'm working on that. But oh, Peeps, he was a saucy boy, huh?
To say the least, yeah. I mean, he had a crush on Barbara. Who did he not have a crush on? I mean,
Yes.
woman crossing the street. It's,
Yeah, the thrill of seeing Barbara's underwear drying on some bush. I mean, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I suppose it's the equivalent of seeing a lady's negligee drying in the wind or something outside, I guess.
I guess.
Like, yeah.
Peeps,
So,
peeps by nature. The but that's great. Good to hear that this is she's a very fascinating woman.
yeah.
I mean, I'm curious to know what's your favorite thing about her at the second, or is there one? Or
Well, I I have formed a bit of a dislike of her, if I could
Mhm.
say that. But she's not the nicest person in the world, really. But see positive things. She
Doesn't have to be positive.
um, she knew what she wanted, and she was willing to do whatever it took to get that. So
Indeed.
maybe that that's something.
Am I remembering correctly that I mean, she's the mistress of Charles II,
Yes.
and she is the one who took up with future Duke of Marlborough at one point.
Yes, and it's believed that her last child, a daughter, was in all probability his
Mhm.
daughter.
And
Um,
yeah,
and I feel I was reading about that girl. She was also called Barbara. Um, she ended up getting pregnant in her teens, out of wedlock, and it was a huge scandal, really, really bad. And she ended up going into a convent for the rest of her life, which was a long time.
mm,
And it was just quite striking. She went to a French convent, um, and I thought that was kind of rich, considering her mother was engaged in that sort of thing, and she had illegitimate children. And I just
mm,
thought that it was quite sad to read about that.
yeah,
I mean, I try not to judge my
oh yeah,
my source, my figures, with what I think now, just what they thought at that time. But even in that context, I thought it was a bit much, a bit heavy-handed, the whole thing.
It seems that way, yes, definitely from the sounds of it.
Yeah.
I remember, I mean, for a start, I remember the story. There's a famous story about Barbara and John, about Charles II
Yes.
finding them, and he's like hiding in a cupboard or something, and Charles II just finds them, and jumps out of. Yeah, one story is that he jumps out of the window.
Yes.
And the other one is that Charles II says something like, "I forgive you because you do it for your bread," or something like that.
Yes. So in some of them, he's in the cupboard or something, or in a wardrobe, and in the other one, he jumps out the window. But yeah, Charles was not at all surprised by Barbara having another man in her bed. By this point, they had numerous lovers.
The sort of the exhaustion in your voice, another lover.
By this point, there was no shock really. She had quite a number, and so did he. So did
Oh
he.
yes, of course.
Whoa. Yes, but in fairness, they were together for a while. Not always faithful to each other, but he did have a long relationship with her, so that's something. But there we have Catherine of Braganza, who is in a really unenviable position, and a position no one would like to be in, to say the least. And there are so many peripheral characters to Barbara's story that are worth investigating, and so I'm spending a considerable amount of time looking into the peripheral characters and also her own children with Charles, because each of them had very striking lives. There was several there were several children, and one of them was killed during the Williamite Wars, and he was 27, and so that's terrible. I mean, she lost her children fully grown as well, which was sad, but at the same time, she didn't lose any, and I believe that's true. She hadn't lost any children in infancy, which is very rare at the time. So she was quite fortunate in that respect. And so that's been very interesting. And so I'm just learning more about her and the characters in her life every day. So.
That is one of the nice things about writing history, that you're learning, that you actually learn so much just by writing the books and researching them. And I think it's very refreshing in a way that you sort of don't quite like it, because a lot of people sort of fall in love with their subjects and sort of become their biggest fans.
Yeah, I don't want to fall into that trap because I think it is a trap where you can like them so much that you skew everything in your text to making them more positive. And likewise, I've seen some I've read some biographies in which the historian clearly has a dislike of their subject, and that comes across too. Everything's couched in, oh, she was lazy. But if if they had actually liked her, they would have said, she had nothing, but she pulled herself up, and see, it's the same sort of thing, and I'm very careful to avoid that, because I don't want to have either the positive or the negative. I want as much truth as can be made possible. So hopefully I'll get that, but it's daunting because it is my first biography.
I would very much like to write a biography. It seems like to actually do something on a single person and explore their life sounds a lot of fun to me. So maybe in the future.
Yeah.
I
And
will.
I've got a print. I have a canvas wrapped print of her, and she has this look. And whenever I'm not doing very well on her thing, it's like she's looking at me. I don't know. Maybe I can show you if that's all right. She's over there. She has this sort of look about her, and as if to say, "Don't mess this up. Don't mess it up." Yeah.
That's brilliant. I mean, her portraits do convey that generally.
Quite a formidable person. I think I'd be a bit cowering next to her or something.
Yeah, I think so. I would certainly.
Yeah.
But,
Don't let me. Don't.
yeah.
Don't.
Absolutely. You're just trying to avoid it. Sorry, talk to Samuel Pepys. I'm just going to go this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually wondering that I remember you were talking about you're now living not far from where Princess Bride was shot, and I was wondering what your favorite sort of places, historical places to visit are.
Ooh, I like anything with the Stuart history. I've been all over the place. I initially lived in London, and then Lancashire, then Windsor, then Shropshire, and then back in London. I was in Croydon for nearly 3 years, and now here. And I love Kensington Palace and Hampton Court Palace, and more so because there's a bit of a personal feel. There's a personal reason for it. I was one of the original developers of the garden history tours at Kensington Palace, and I had the good fortune of working with such wonderfully devoted people, and also I was able to help the curators with the Royal Ceremonial Dress Collection and other things, and it was such an amazing time. And I was at the door quite often welcoming people for a while, but to be able to help and learn on site at this place, it was incredible. And there's just so much tangible history there, and that's something I love. And also one time I was at Hampton Court. I did that too. And so one time I was in the members room, and I was just chatting away with another couple there about history, and we totally forgot about the time, and we got locked into the palace. Everyone had gone home, and it was so scary. And it was all dark, and everyone had gone home. I don't know how that happened. It's not something that usually happens there, I'm sure, but somehow that happened. And we ended up going around Fountain Court, and we're trying desperately to find somebody to let us out. And then we finally found the verger, and he was in there, and so he let us out, and it was just amazing.
Wow, that's brilliant. You're into history when you get locked inside a historic palace.
I'll probably get in trouble now for that. But another one is
People will applaud.
Yeah, I really love Stirling Castle. I have family who live in Stirling, up in Scotland, and of course that's a big place for the Stuarts. My mother-in-law was born in Dunfermline, so that is another major Stuart area. And so nearby is Bolsover Castle, I should say. And Charles I and Henrietta Maria visited there, and so there's a lot of Stuart history everywhere around here, and I love it. I just love it.
Great. Yeah, I love Scotland as well. I spent a lot of time in Scotland, and I mean, it's difficult to pick just one place that's.
Yeah.
um,
Impossible.
yeah, yeah. It's just go to Scotland. You'll find tons of places to to look at. I've been to Kensington Palace, and it is very impressive. And I mean, even just to walk through the park up to it is just quite, in its own way, quite extraordinary.
And the broad
Yeah.
that goes Street Kensington up to Queensway.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And the round pond and the orangery, just beautiful, beautiful things. Places.
One of my favorite places that I've been to actually as well is St. Michael's Mount, Cornwall.
Oh, I want to go there. I really do. Oh,
you must. You must. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, because they filmed one of my favorite films there too. It was the Scarlet Pimpernel with. Oh, you like that one too?
Yes.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yep. Oh, and I totally forgot about one of my most favorite place is Blenheim Palace.
Of course, Blenheim Palace.
I actually got married there, and I forgot about it.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
You're gonna get locked into the palace now.
No.
I've never been.
Yeah, you must. It's just a short bus ride from Oxford.
Yeah, must go to Blenheim Palace when everything reopens. I've been to Apsley House and I've been to Stratfield, say, which is the Duke of Wellington's places, but I haven't seen Blenheim, and really, really want to.
Yeah, you must. It is definitely worth visiting.
But like I say, you should you want to go to St. Michael's Mount. Definitely go because it lives up to the hype.
Well, I definitely should do that. Well, I really want to go to Tintagel too. All of that. We're really into the Arthurian legends.
Anyway, I am noticing that we have been talking for quite a while.
Yes.
And perhaps should be thinking of winding things up.
Okay. Yes.
I would go on
talking to you. It's really nice.
But I would, I'm quite happy to continue talking to you as long as you like, as it is.
I probably should go check on my little one. Just she's probably throwing her toys all over the place now.
But we should definitely do another one of these at some point in the future.
Like that.
Excellent. Then we will absolutely do so. I'm also I noticed what we've been going on for a while because I'm now looking at because the light I used to sort of show me ran out of charge. Oh, great pre-planning. I thought it would last 2 days because I used it yesterday. But it isn't working, and that's why I look as if I'm in the Stuart period right now. So I do apologize to everybody, but
it's fine. We all like a bit of Stuart looking times. There's my William and Mary mug from the 80s.
Yes. We must have historical. Yes. Yes. We must have historical mug collections. I must build one.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, excellent. Oh yes. This is the stuff here.
It's getting a bit dark here too. Yep. Haha.
I'm suddenly put in mind of that particular portrait of William with the candle.
That's my favorite one of him. Yeah, I like that.
But yeah, so I guess unless there's anything else that you want to sort of bring up or mention.
No, I think that's great.
I think our hysterical Mad Tea Party has gone quite well. I've enjoyed it immensely. It's been a delight, absolute delight, and I really want to do another one soon. But from chiaroscuro Josh and excellently period lit Andrea, I encourage you to go to the links that I will include in the description box below, where you'll find all of Andrea's pertinent links to her books and her website, and please follow her on Twitter. And if you like, you can follow me too. You know where to find me if you're... please follow, do the follows, do all the follows, and please do all the things that you're supposed to do at the end of the video to tell me that you liked it. Please leave comments, polite ones, below, and as I like to say at the end of these videos now, have courage and have compassion. Godspeed, and we will see you all the next time for another adventure in Historyland. Thank you for watching.
Bye.